Hi everyone, so we just need to find out what's happening to Ronnie after he got hit with all of those water balloons. Then Katie let out a scream. We all gasped and took a hasty step back because what happened was truly crazy. Ronnie was shrinking. I don't mean like when we all shrank to the size of ants last month at Freaky Falls. Ronnie wasn't just getting smaller, he was getting younger too. Right in front of our eyes, Ronnie Nutbolt went from kid to baby in about 10 seconds flat until all that was left of him was a wriggling little baby Ronnie and a big pile of big Ronnie clothes. Naturally, we all ran away screaming. Then baby Ronnie did what all babies do. He started to cry. This wasn't even big Ronnie pretending to cry. This was actual ear-piercing baby crying. And that's something that grown-ups simply cannot ignore, no matter how much they wish they could. One by one, we all crept back and circled the screaming baby. "Charlie, pick it up," said Susie. "No way, you pick it up," he replied. "No chance. I've never held a baby before in my life," Susie snapped. "Neither have I," confessed Amelia. "Me neither," added Katie and Molly. Then their eyes turned to me. I was about to tell them that I hadn't held a baby before either, but they knew that Max was there, so there was no chance I was getting away with that. All right, I'll pick him up," I said as I bent down and carefully scooped up little baby Ronnie, being careful to support his head like Mum had told me when Max was born, and I wrapped him in his own t-shirt, which was now massive on him. "Now what?" I asked, looking down at the little human in my arms. "Just take him to my house and ring the doorbell, leave him on the doorstep and pretend nothing happened," said Susie. "We can't leave him on a doorstep. His mum and dad will never believe it's him," I said. "Let's take him to the police. They'll know what to do," said Charlie. "Hang on a second." Eric turned into a shark, but he turned back into the boy again. "Molly, you turned invisible and you reappeared eventually. Charlie, even Mr. Fluffle shrank back to his usual size, and we all grew back to normal size after flying on the flying ant day. Ronnie will change back too. We've just got to give him time to grow up." "First, I think it might be time to change his nappy," said Susie, holding his nose. "Oh, he's not wearing a nappy," I said. As soon as Susie spoke, the smell of baby Ronnie's poo seemed to fill the entire street. We all gagged and heaved. "You can use one of Max's nappies. Get him to my house quick," I choked. We ran back to mine and sneaked in through the back door in the kitchen, hoping Mum and Dad wouldn't notice. "What have you got there, son?" Dad said. "Oh, we're playing a game, Mr. Freaky, Dad," Katie lied while trying to keep baby Ronnie hidden. "Yeah, we're playing babies," added Charlie. Dad stared at us. He must have suspected something. This was it. We'd been caught. "Off you trot then, but keep the noise down. Your brother's having a nap," he chimed with a wink, and we all rushed upstairs. We crept silently into Max's room, found his nappies, and laid baby Ronnie on the changing mat. "Go ahead," I whispered, handing the wipes to Susie. "Me? Not a chance," she hissed, shoving the wipes into my hand. "You started this. You can finish this." I couldn't argue with that. I did throw the first balloon. "Okay, here goes nothing," I said before taking a deep breath and wiping Ronnie Nutbolt's pooey bum. It was the grossest thing I have ever done. Thankfully, having a baby brother has given me some experience in the nappy changing department, and I managed to get it done in minimal mess and also without throwing up everywhere. I threw Ronnie's pooey-covered t-shirt away, dressed him in some of Max's baby clothes, and we crept back downstairs. When we arrived in the kitchen, Ronnie started to cry again. Luckily, Dad had wandered off into the living room. "Now, what's wrong with him?" asked Charlie. "I think he's hungry," I replied. "Here, these are his favourites," said Susie, offering me a chocolate bar that he stuffed in her pocket. "He's a baby, he can't have that," I replied. "It's Ronnie, he loves chocolate," Molly said, but there was no way I was going to feed a chocolate toffee chewy bar to a toddler's, to a toothless, nappy-wearing baby. Instead, I grabbed one of my brother's bottles, filled it with warm milk, and started to feed baby Ronnie. "Still playing babies?" chirped Dad, wandering back into the kitchen and still completely failing to notice that we actually had a real baby with us. "It's feeding time," Molly said. "Oh, yes, of course. Don't forget to burp him afterwards," Dad said, playing along, and not realising he'd actually totally reminded me that we needed to do that. "Nice one, Dad. We're going to take him for a little walk," I said, and we all headed out to the front door as Dad chuckled to himself. Sometimes it really does paying off having a completely clueless dad. We walked down the street towards the spot where big Ronnie had become baby Ronnie, and we all gathered around to look after him. "Oh, he's actually pretty cute now he's not covered in, poo." "Can I hold him?" asked Molly. Sure, you can burp him if you like, I said, and carefully handed him over. As baby Ronnie stared at us with his big blue eyes, we forgot for a moment that this was the kid that gave us mega wedgies every morning before assembly, or dished out random dead arms on the way home, even since we'd all become sort of friends with him. I had to agree with Molly that somehow this baby version of Ronnie was kind of cute. Burp. Baby Ronnie belched a deep, slightly green, gassy burp as Molly rubbed his back. Blimey, that was a good one, I said. Try again. Molly gave him a little pat on the back. And burp. Another impressive big burp was released, but something else happened too. Does baby Ronnie look a little bit bigger to you? Asked Susie. We all had a closer look and agreed that baby Ronnie had grown up. Burp him some more, Jamelia said, and Molly started to pat him again. Burp, he grew, burp, he grew some more. And he wasn't just growing bigger, he was growing up. More, we all cried, said Molly, patting the toddler's back. Burp, more, burp, more, burp, more, burp, burp, burp. By this point, Molly had lowered him on the grass because he was almost too big for her. He was nearly back to his real age. Just one more burp would do. Molly swung her arm and gave a great big wallop, but instead of just burping, Ronnie did something I've seen my baby brother do 100 times. Ronnie Nutbolt threw up all over us. We were covered head to toe in warm milk fresh out of Ronnie's belly. So gross. By the time he wiped it out of his eyes, we were face to face with another confused, regular-looking Ronnie. He was back. What is going on, and why am I wearing baby clothes? He asked, blinking at us. But just as I was about to open my mouth to try to explain, I spotted something flying through the air towards us. It was a water balloon. Yes, cheered Eric from the bathroom window. Gotcha. I've been waiting all week to do that. We couldn't tell if it was water or tears in Ronnie's eyes, but none of us were sticking around to find out. Well, that's been the freakiest part of my summer so far, and I learned everything in this day is to never call Ronnie Nutbolt a baby. It's a pretty good idea not to call anyone names, full stop, I reckon. And I've got the feeling Ronnie might have just learned his lesson too. In fact, he's been almost nicer to us ever since. Hardly any wedgies at all. Who'd have thought that we'd be learning so much in the summer holidays? Hope you're having a great time. Frankie. P.S. With all this summery sunshine, I thought I'd definitely spot the shadow again, but nothing yet. However, after Eric soaked Ronnie and I ran back to my house, I couldn't help but notice there was an extra set of wet footprints on the dry pavements. Oh, I'm intrigued to find out who this shadow is. Tune in next time to hear our next chapter of September. Stay safe and I will see you soon.